Evening all, so I'm not too surprised that Sophie picked me to give her speech tonight, even if it wasn't accidental second choice. I'm not sure if you'll know, but when I was 10, I won the Greater Sydney Undertop Public Speaking Competition. You might have heard about it, it was kind of a big deal. Anyhow, enough about me, we're here to talk about Sophie Social Lorenz. For me, my first ever experience of Hatfield College was walking into Hatfield Gates and seeing Sophie like a shining knight, blue and gold stash, banging her body pots and pans, preparing me for one of the best, and let's be honest, least memorable weeks of my life. And I can speak on behalf of my year in saying that I'm sure we had a week to rival all those that come before us, and I have no doubt this is due to Sophie's amazing dedication, organisation and flair for organising such events. For those of you that have had the unfortunate opportunity to watch Sophie on the football pitch, you won't be surprised that she might have been unofficially kicked off the team for not quite understanding the concept of foot in football. But with that aside, not a game has been played this year without our current HCW AFC, the social sec, waving her banners, cheering on her team. That is, of course, if she isn't recovering from her Hatfield social the night before. And I think that certainly this is where Sophie can make a massive difference in college. I'm sure we've all got tickets for Line in Winter, for which, of course, Sophie's organised all the events. Next year, I'm 100% certain that she's ready to turn this up to 100%, with loads of ideas focusing on post-exam events, such as college barbecues to make the most of what you people seem to call a summer's day. 19 degrees does not count. And of course, making the infamous Hatfield Day even bigger. She's thinking of great ways to meet new people in different years and colleges, including crew dates, blind date formals, ladies and gents formals, and bringing back Mr. and Mrs. Hatfield. And also exciting new ways to break the Durham bubble with trips to Newcastle, Edinburgh, and the coast, and I do intentionally not use the word beach. So enough about Soph, back to me. I'm hoping to make a revival to the public speaking spotlight, so if you've got any comments about this, that's pretty much just praise, appreciation, throw me a quick PM, but that is, of course, after you vote number 1 Sophie Lorenz, Hatfield College Social Sec.
I'm Beth, and I'm proposing Annie. Already? Okay, Annie came to Hatfield with one mission, to be social sec. And I believe there is nobody that could be more qualified for the role. Whilst being head girl at school, Annie only helped to organise a 2-week art festival, but also found time to chair her Leavers Ball. Furthermore, if we include all the wonderful events she has organised since becoming senior registrar at uni, Annie has now been responsible for 5 balls, 3 fashion shows, 2 full moon parties, Hatfield Day, countless charity events back home, and God knows how many open mic nights. I think this shows you all that her experience in this field is very extensive. She really knows what she's doing, and over the years has learnt invaluable lessons regarding working with college officers and leading a team. I know that for Annie, this is a real stepping stone to her desired future career in event planning, which is something I know she'd thrive in. As her best friend, roommate, and travelling buddy, I've been there to witness just how much all these events mean to her and how hard she's consistently worked on them. During the lead up to last year's fashion show, for example, she drove me crazy. All she did was talk about it, and it actually became a banned topic in our room and the whole of B stairs. As a big character, constant face around college, usually working hard on this year's fashion show, I believe Annie is so perfect for this role. She would approach it with the same enthusiasm and pure stamina for partying that we all know and love her for. In summary, in order to be a good social sec, I believe you need to be organised, outgoing, and maybe even a little outrageous, whilst being able to create incredible events to appeal to the whole of the college community. Anna has already displayed these attributes throughout her time on the ENTS team and her multiple other roles, and I know she would excel in all aspects as your social sec. So I know you may know Annie as being a bit crazy, a bit annoying, maybe a bit weird at times. I think she would be fantastic, and vote for Annie and you're guaranteed to have an insane year of events. Thank you.
I'm Anna. And with Serena as social secretary, Hatfielders could party safe in the knowledge that everything behind the scenes is under control. She is committed. She knows just how important the social side of college is to maintaining the Hatfield spirit, and would work hard to strike deals so that the college events are accessible to everyone. She's approachable. She would give Hatfielders a social secretary who they feel comfortable coming to with ideas, queries, or even just to have a laugh. This year, as a member of the junior Ents team, she has first-hand experience of what it takes to put on an event in Hatfield, with her work on the full moon party and the Michaelmas ball. And at her sixth form college, she headed up 2 major events, a charity skydive and a fashion show which boasted a team of over 60 models. To raise money for these, she organised smaller socials and parties and events entirely from her own initiative. Therefore, she has experience of budgeting, prioritising, time management, liaising with security, health and safety, publicity, heading up a team of people, delegation, and many other things. She might not have the most experience in college, but what's most exciting is the fresh perspective that Serena could bring to the floor. She is full of creative ideas and is ready to work with people who are passionate as she is, to bounce ideas off each other and achieve something really special both for Hatfield Day and the rest of the social calendar. So she's already well qualified and she's eager to learn from others and pick up the skills you need in order to make events Hatfield worthy. And surely we should maintain the tradition of the freshest fear that you might mispronounce your social secretary's name. That's why I support Serena Ng.
Hi, I'm Rosa. I've known Lucy since Freshers Week, and I can honestly say she's the perfect person for the position. There's no one who's done or will do any more than she has to gain your support and your vote. If we dissect JCR's social secretary and look at the individual qualities required for the perfect candidate, you will see how perfect Lucy is for the role. Firstly, JCR. Lucy loves Hatfield. She's involved herself in every aspect of college, and for those societies she's less involved in, she's still greatly supportive of the work they do, attending several duck events, shows and plays. She plays for the netball team occasionally, and she rows, so you know she can get up at the crack of the dawn and put on a good show. She's also a regular attendee of the JCR meetings, though thankfully not regular star of You've Been Shamed. Secondly, social. She's smiley. And although it's not one of the most important qualities, she really is one of the most approachable people I know. It sounds like a cliche, but she's life and soul of a party. At the full moon party, she was so determined to make a success of the evening that she initiated dancing on the tables outside. And I'm sure that some of you are aware the consequence of her enthusiasm was not one of her finest outcomes. Nevertheless, she picked herself up, brushed off the mud, best as she could, and continued ensuring everyone was having the best time. She knows a good thing when she sees it, and is keen to channel her experience into making next year social events calendar as best you will see. Finally, secretary. Lucy's already demonstrated her ability to be a good secretary for Hatfield. She's already a secretary for this year's Hatfield College charity fashion show, as well as being a part of the Ents team already. Lucy's helped organise the Michaelmas Ball, the full moon party, open mic nights, and will be organising this year's Hatfield Day. If she could get involved in events more, she would. Overall, Lucy's organisation and attention to detail is impeccable. Her experience of decks, entertainment, budgeting and teamwork is great despite her only being a fresher. No one will work harder, no one will strive for better, and no one deserves it more than Lucy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlotte. Day 1 of Freshers Week in the PG Common Room. No sooner had the Freps walked through the door and begun to carry out their duties, did an incredibly enthusiastic fresher come decide to make himself known. This was Rob. After the usual Freshers Week questionnaire of what's your name and where do you come from, I began to ask Rob about what clubs and societies he wished to join. He said he wished to carry on his interest from school in music, drama and the Air Force. Hooray, I thought to myself, I finally found another plain enthusiast. Joking aside, I feel these 3 things will hold him in great stead if he were to be elected as Social Secretary. Music and theatre are areas of events in college which has drastically expanded over the past few years. Rob hopes to use his expertise in these areas to full effect and improve and involve more in college. In addition, being a member of the University Air Squadron, Rob has been able to deal with things in a military fashion. Having partaken in a range of activities, he has learned how to both be an effective team player and leader, which would aid him in his role as both a member of the exec and team leader of the events team. Rob's ability to organise events to a high standard has already been clearly demonstrated in many ways within Hatfield. His role as sessions chair, where he halved the ticket price by reallocating the budget more effectively, whilst selling out and making profit, both the first time in Hatfield ever. This success was one of the contributing factors which led him being selected as a senior open day rep. Clearly, Rob is capable and willing of taking on big challenges and achieving great successes. Rob involves himself in almost all areas of college and university life, being a member of the Hatfield Football Club, acting in the recent Lion and Theatre production and presenting on Purple Radio. He is approachable, incredibly proactive, and as a result, I strongly urge you to vote Rob Double for the next Social Secretary. Thank you.
The first question, and this is going to go with Sophie and then go down the line next. Do you have any past experience with events organisation? If so, please briefly outline your role and, more importantly, your responsibilities.
Okay, so I'll start at school. Oh, this is really loud. So I started events organising when I was pretty young. In about year 7, year 8, I organised cake sale in order for charity for the Haiti Appeal. From there, it kind of started, and that's where I kind of developed. So in lower school, I was a senior prefect, which meant involving kind of the undergrads ball. I then went on to get the position of head girl, which not only meant organising a Christmas ball, but also a theatre production that is performed every year of our school. And then when I joined university, in first year, I kind of laid off the events organising and spent time making friends and developing my teamwork skills. So I took part in Ducks Jailbreak, which was really beneficial. Meant I learned a lot about like working with different people and also how the university runs on like a bigger scale. Then I also got the position of senior frep, so a lot of freshers, that was me, which was really helpful. It meant I learned a lot about how to work with college offices, college guidelines, budgeting, the whole shebang. Now I'm Line and Winterpool Ends Coordinator along with Abby Barker, who can't be here tonight. So I think it's safe to say I've had a lot of experience with events organisation, so I'm really excited if I did get this opportunity to bring in some new events whilst also maintaining the Hatfield traditions.
Basically, as Beth very kindly said, I've got a massive amount of experience in this area. I've started off from a very young age, just like Sophie. When I was 14, I put on a charity ball which raised a huge amount of money for charity, which built a brand new wing in the local hospice for Nintendo Wii's. I then went on to become head girl at school. I did a 2-week-long arts festival of plays, a fashion show, a ball for the teachers and staff, and it all ended with my leavers ball. I was dealing with a budget in excess of £50,000 for that 2 weeks. Then, since coming to university, I became junior ents rep, fashion show secretary, senior ents rep this year, and now fashion show chair. Being junior, then senior, and now hopefully leading on to this has taught me so many absolutely invaluable lessons about college offices and something that I would definitely utilise in the future.
Serena, please.
It's very hard to follow up the experience of these two, but my main experience comes from sixth form. I got involved in quite a lot of charity organisations, so we had a Year 12 skydive in which there were 17 participants, and we had to organise transportation to the event and event fundraising before it. So we put on various socials for the whole of the sixth form, and I managed to raise over £7,000 for local hospice. And then in year 13 I organised and headed up the fashion show committee. It's not a standard fashion show with models strutting down the catwalk, it's more like a performance, so you have to liaise with the directors of each category and kind of work with budgeting for the various outfits, which is a very difficult and stressful role, but definitely paid off on the night.
My main experience started back at school. I was appointed as deputy head girl, so therefore I was in charge of the summertime ball. I organised things such as transportation to the event, which was quite a way out. Also, I was in charge of budgeting, so I wasn't particularly treasurer, but I was overseeing the treasurer's duties. Then I came to university, and I have been since ENTS rep, and I am now currently secretary to the fashion show. So the full moon party, open mic nights, Michaelmas ball, and the upcoming Hatfield Day are the main areas that I've had experience.
I suppose I hate going through a long list of stuff. I find it very boring. So, at school, I was head of charities, which meant organising all day charity events from the year 6 to the year 13 staff, including organising the sort of concerts, and that was for the year basis. On top of that, I ran the RAF section of our cadet force, which was 110 people strong, and that was, we're talking sort of flying camps on a weekly basis, organising weekly events, activities, and then also camps themselves, organising timetables, what people are doing, etc. And I organised the Leavers concert at the end, which is a big event in our school. It's sort of the final sort of teachers and everyone come along. I took a year out then, and I was an English teacher at an academy on the Isle of Sheppey in Kent, which no one knows. It's based on the coast. It's not a nice place, don't go there. And yeah, so that was being a teacher, and that was a full-on teaching job. So that was organising trips, organising lessons, delivering lessons, managing people, whether that be 60 years old or tiny, and then sessions chair.
So, as has been alluded to, a big part of this role is obviously managing budgets. So that includes things like pricing tickets, controlling expenditure, and so on. How do you approach this part of the role? And please give specific examples of how you approach this side of any past roles that you've fought, starting with that.
Well, I thought I'd focus for this on the experience I've had at university. With Azzy on the ENTS team, she's had me kind of saying, this is the amount of money we've got to spend on ENTS. We've approached companies together, secured ridiculously crazy things for Hatfield Day, like a helter-skelter last year, and I've had to deal with the budgets for that. On top of that, being fashion show chair at the moment, I'm dealing with budgets that are changing every day, depending on how much we can raise for charity, because I'm desperately trying to maximise that. So in future, I just want to build on the experience I already have, work very closely with whoever gets treasurer on the future exec, and ensure that all money is accounted for exactly where it should be and using it in the right places.
In previous ENTS teams meetings, as he's mentioned, trying to have a treasurer next year, which I think will be a real value to the team, because not only will they work with the creative side, but also kind of just look after the money side a bit more, and maybe as a social sec, like liaise closely with them to work out budgets for each event. It'd be good also to have like an overflow for each event, just so if anything goes wrong, or we want to like add in a little bit extra events or decks, just to kind of have a little bit of money aside. Working in the past doing charity events is important to make sure you minimise costs in order to maximise the money you can make for charity. So with the work with the fashion show, I definitely had to look very carefully at the budget in order to make sure we made enough profit for the charity.
Primarily, I've had experience, obviously, back at sixth form, like I said, but the ENTS team this year, working closely with Azzy, I've obviously seen her role already and what she does in order to maximise making money for charity and in order for you guys to have the best events possible. Also, working on the fashion show, we're trying desperately to raise as much money as possible. I'm trying to help Annie as best I can to maximise that for charity. The only thing I would say, the only way in which you can maximise money for charities, etc., and the way in which I can guarantee that you guys get the best events possible is only to plan. I know that budgeting is the main part of it is planning and making sure that you're organised and keeping on top of your records, and that's something that I did ensure.
I love budgets. I think they're great. I think the best proof of sort of how I can answer this question is do what I did with Hatfield Sessions. I think it's incredibly easy when events have been running year on year on year on year for things to get really sloppy and complacent. You just accept these things and you need to spend it on this and this and that. And I think that's absolute bollocks. I think you need to analyse things from a fresh face every year. And so what I did with Sessions is I looked at the budget and go, that's wank, let's get rid of that. And by that, you've got to basically half the budget, which is fantastic because then you lower the ticket price and everyone gets the same thing basically, but they paid less for it, which makes everyone happy and more people turn up. So I'd say my experience with budget in the college has been through my experience of Hatfield Sessions, where sort of it was all about saving money and making it efficient and cheaper.
My experience with budgets has mainly come through working as senior frep. In that position, neither of the senior freps are kind of particularly allocated to be the treasurer, which means you're kind of working a little bit in the dark and a bit backwards. We had no idea how many freshers were actually going to come to Hatfield. So we were kind of buying things and budgeting on the basis that we didn't know how many people we had. From that struggle, anything past that has been relatively easy. So like working on the line and winter ball, having my own treasurer is great, but you do kind of have to keep tabs on things. I don't know if any of you know Harry Tawney, but you do kind of have to keep tabs. As senior frep, I also learned a lot about working with the JCR treasurer, and I think it's really important to have that relationship in the role. Just because they are your go-to guy. I don't know anything about VAT, so like it would have to come down to me working with the treasurer, although my experience with budgets is great, and if anyone has seen my Excel spreadsheets, you know budgeting will not be a problem.
So health and safety is a key part of your role, like understanding that when planning events. So how familiar are you with the regulations in terms of college and university, and what would you do to ensure your events run smoothly in this regard?
Well, with previous events, we've had to do things like manual handling, and I'm aware that you have to liaise a lot with college officers to make sure that everything you're doing is abiding by health and safety rules. Just kind of putting on events that are making sure everything's safe beforehand and everyone's gone through the right protocols so that on the night everything can run smoothly.
A bit like what Serena was saying, I have the experience of working on the ENTS team, so therefore I know that there's a lot of liaising with the college officers. So doing things such as going to them, talking about, do we really need the St John's ambulance parked outside for the Moulin Rouge, even though it's just an extended version of formal, or can we have the porters train in first aid training? So to basically ensure that, again, a bit like what we were saying with the budgeting, that the costs are completely kept down, to make sure that the money is spent on you guys enjoying yourself as best as possible. Having said that, that doesn't mean I'm ever going to skimp on spending on health and safety, because the only way you guys are going to have a great time at these events is to know that you are absolutely safe.
Well, I think there's nothing more fun than a man turning up with a clipboard and telling you that your event's unsafe because there's a wire going everywhere. I think health and safety is awful, it's terrible, and a lot of the time it's excessive, but it's absolutely essential. It's what you have to do for events, so you have to go along with it. Having my experience, I hate it mainly because I worked at a school for a year, and organising an event with 40 kids, some of whom are on some ADHD tablet or whatever, is absolutely crazy. But you just do it, and I think, here it's not really a problem. You just got to make sure electrics are PAT tested, make sure things are put away in the right places, and I think it's a fairly straightforward one, providing you just stay on top of those things. But again, it's essential, but I think it's not really an issue. I don't think college is just basic things.
From having weekly meetings with Bash, Brenda and Katie, I can tell you that health and safety is pretty an issue here. The college officers are only there to help, like they're literally just here to do the best for you. But it can be pretty painful. But now, out of the experience from senior frapping and line winter ball, I kind of know the procedure, what they want, what they need, and I think health and safety is absolutely crucial for any event. Meeting with the police and the fire brigade, like rescue people in Durham before planning your event is really handy. They're just there to help you, and they just want to make sure your event runs smoothly. Without health and safety, the event can't go ahead, so it's 100% crucial. But through my experience, I've learned a lot about college health and safety regulations, so I'm not fully aware of what's necessary to hold big events like Hatfield Day, but also smaller events like Open Mic Night.
I've got some of my housemates here tonight, and any of them will tell you that health and safety is the genuine bane of my life. I have had to battle for health and safety stuff for both Hatfield Day and Fashion Show, but it is so crucial. Just this week alone, I've spent about 5 or 6 hours in meetings with the college officers talking about that very issue. We're currently battling on whether we can have a cheese board at the fashion show because of the fact it has to have a knife. I know for a fact that it is such an important issue, and it's something that I have addressed with Fashion Show to the point that it wouldn't have actually ran if Georgina and I hadn't have really pushed for promising that health and safety is going to be upheld. It's something I've worked with all year last year, all year this year. You've got to get so many documentation in, public liability insurance, PAT testing, method statements, risk assessments, all of that. I know what I'm doing just because I've done it before.
How would you improve the attendance and atmosphere of bar events, and do you have any ideas for new events in the bar? So, Lucy.
Basically, my main idea for the bar events at the moment is tackling the issue of open mic nights. I do feel that at the moment we've only got the option of playing musical instruments and singing, and that is not the only talent that we have at Hatfield. We need to expand that. I think more people would definitely come to open mic nights, and more people would get involved if we expanded the talent that we know that we can recognise at Hatfield. I want comedians up there, I want dancers up there, I want basically any talent, weird, strange, whatever, I don't care. But I feel that it would really build on the event. It would make sure that more people came. Also, to ensure that more people came, I would like to work really closely with the bar staff, doing things like discounts, doing things like special offers. I do feel that the bar is a real great social hub and therefore needs to be improved upon next year.
Yeah, I think the bar is great, although something next year or even now which we're going to face is the problem with sort of excessive, I believe, regulation on stuff like IDs, which I think makes it less of a comforting place and more of just sort of your average bar, you can go anywhere. But with regards to open mic, I'm to the belief if you're organising an event which no one's turning up to, and you've advertised it and no one's turning up to it, you do it less frequently and you make sure when you do it really well, because there's no point hosting events if no one's going to come to them. You might as well reallocate those resources and take them somewhere else. So what I would do with regards to new events is I would perhaps, freshers, everyone loves to organise events. There were so many people who went for NSREP. I went for NSREP. So use them, organise some competition or something where they can get funding, they can get the expertise of the ENTS team to organise something which they themselves and perhaps what their cohort want to organise. And so I'm to the belief that if open mics aren't working and you're doing all you can, don't sort of try and force it upon people, just innovate.
I think the bar events we have now are really great if you have a talent. I'm really talentless, and I think although open mic night is great to attend, I feel a bit can't really join in. So I'd really love some new ideas from the ENTS team, and to put with my ideas, have bar events that not only appeal to the talented and those inclined, like events like pub quizzes and things like that where everyone can get involved. I also think having open mic night once a term is great, and it's in the standing orders that we have to have one kind of bar-based event. And I think using the bar is a brilliant space, however mixing up the events would be really great. Open mic nights, as I've said, are great, but I really just think we need new events. In Freshers Week, we had a lot of non-drinking events that also worked really well and appealed to a completely different kind of people that would usually maybe not go to the bar so much. I think having those events as well as drinking events would be really crucial to make sure that the whole college feels involved. The bar is so important, and living out as well, I feel like I've lost touch with the bar. I'd really want to work with the Livers Out rep to try and get discounts for Livers Out, and after formals using the bar, maybe have socials happening after formals and things like that.
Having worked on the open mic nights for 2 years, I have to admit, Azzy and I, we never dread planning them, but we never look forward to them a whole lot either, because we've struggled with turnout so much. But I think that it can be completely revitalised by just having a complete rebranding of open mic nights. No longer call it an open mic night, for instance. Have Battle of the Bands, have Get Duck involved and do some kind of X Factor, Britain's Got Talent kind of event. Don't call it the same thing, because I feel like it's got a kind of stigma attached to it now, that people think that people don't go, so they're not going to go either. And I think it's something that we can change so easily. Also, for getting Livers Out back in, an idea I came up with would be to advertise to the Livers Out that if it's someone's birthday, get people down to the bar. Realistically, unless you have a red room like ours, you don't have space. So I think if we can get people in the bar for gathering before they go out, it'd be such a great space to use.
I think the bar is a great place, especially if you're from the south. The drinks are ridiculously cheap here, and I think open mic nights is like seen as quite a cosy couch session kind of thing. But maybe if you have one or two during the year, it's kind of like on a stage, maybe a bigger event so people can see, because that's one of the big problems I found during open mic nights. Also, just publicity. Maybe within the Eds team itself, maybe having a couple of reps who are responsible for publicity. Publicity is a big thing for all events. And especially, even not just for open mic nights, but any other event run in the bar, say like Livers Out, Rep was talking earlier about maybe having like Livers Out pub quizzes, maybe like competitions running week from week, stuff like that. Publicity is a big thing, and if you have publicity reps just trying to push those more, I think that'll be a really good idea.
Thank you. Final question. What new ideas do you have for the role? And these can be as big and as outrageous as you want.
Okay, I went on a social with a group of lads on about 90-something of us to Newcastle. And for a tenner, we got a coach, we got entry to all the clubs, and we had an absolutely amazing time. We got the coach to take us back, so all our travel and our club free, 10 quid, bargain, everyone's happy. And I don't see why you can't use that for Hatfield as well. Although, when I was in sessions, there's a serious difficulty when you're encountering anything to do with booze, even more so now. But one thing is the Hatfield sort of trip to Newcastle. I think if you're a fresher as well, going to Newcastle, perhaps as a group of three, you don't really know what you're doing, particularly if you don't have anyone there. So that was to be something. That's what I'm really sort of looking forward to planning, if that was a possibility. But then my main thing is just taking what we have. Changing it if it's not working. Don't get sentimental. The fact it's gone on for years and years and years. If it's losing money and it's not attending them, just dump it and get something else. Use the money you have to organise something people want. And so just listen to, I suppose, the college as opposed to history.
The kind of ideas I have for events are kind of in two sections. So the first section is within college and the university. I kind of want to get people mixing with other years. I recently visited Oxford, where they have a system of crew dating, where it's kind of like a blind date with another group. But I really want to talk to other social sectors around university about getting this happening in Durham, because it's such a fun way to meet new people, also within college. Other college events like trips to the beach. After exams, although it's an amazing period if it's lovely and warm, it can also be pretty boring. So trips out of Durham to places like Edinburgh, Newcastle, Manchester, experience not only the nightlife but also the culture. And I think doing that as a college would be such a bonding activity, as well as something that would be so enjoyable. I also want to stick to the Hatfield traditions, so like Michaelmas Ball, Hatfield Day. I want to make them bigger and better than ever. And that means ditching college kind of ideas of what companies to use. If they're expensive, scrap them. I'll find new companies. I just think, if you read my manifesto and listen to my speech at the end, I'll include some other ideas.
As I mentioned before, I'm really keen about rebranding some of the current events. Michaelmas Ball, I think, whilst we tried to completely innovate it this year, doing things that have never been done before, bringing in showgirls and can-can dancers and God knows what else, I think I want to change it to be a Christmas ball rather than a Michaelmas Ball, in the hope of getting more of the Livers Out to come back for it. I also want to introduce a kind of barbecue and rounders thing down on the racecourse, again in the period after exams, when we have this amazing 4 weeks where everyone's secretly terrified about results, but also just want to go and have fun, let your hair down. And I think other than going out, there isn't a whole lot for us to do. If we could have something like that, I think get the clubs, get the societies involved, get team matches going, that could be a lot of fun. The other thing I want to do is Hatfield Day is my main focus. I've got ideas for it already, and if I wasn't so scared about this election, I'd be excited already too.
there are loads of small like socials. But if you have one like big all college social, maybe with like printed t-shirts and things to do on the night, a bit like Dare Night on Wednesday, with all the dark things that are going on this week, I think that'd be a really good thing to kind of get everyone involved, not just people living in college, so freshers, but people living out as well. Maybe combine it with JCR meetings just so you get the whole college community involved. I also think communicating with other people in the exec and just seeing if they want any events put on. So the DSU people were talking before about maybe having DSU events within college just to promote their ideas as well. Just kind of utilising college and everyone. I think kind of trying to get second years and people who live outside of college involved would be a really good idea too.
Right. I would love to make our events more big, much more publicised, much more inventive. However, I can't come up with that alone. I'm only going to ask you that if I am elected as your social sec, that I want you guys to be the inspiration behind it. I can't make the events that are going to please you because my single view is not going to be the one that really pleases all of you. So the only way that I can do it is to make sure that all of you guys come to me. I'm really approachable. The only thing I would say is that I would love to have college events become more representative of socials, your sports socials, your clubs, your societies. They seem like the ones that you guys really enjoy and really drive after because they're the ones where they come in themes, they're the ones where you can get stash for, and they're the things that I think should be reflected in events. But again, all I want is for you guys to tell me what you want, and I will try as best as I can to get that back to college officers, work with them, and try and get you what you want.
Thank you, everyone. We'll now open to questions from the floor, if you have any. Yes?
Sorry. There are certain friendship groups in Hatfield that never attend college events. How would you make your events more inclusive for the non-stereotypical partier?
This was me and Will's main problem when organising Freshers Week, is that you get such a diverse group of people coming to Hatfield, and also you have no idea what they're going to be like until they arrive. So we were really keen on working to get everybody involved. Our non-drinking events had amazing attendance, and I think that really says something about the college community. Some nights, if you want to go out and have a social, you don't want to have a drink. You may have a deadline the next day, you may have a really busy week, but you don't want to feel like you're missing out. I don't want to make all college events just about drinking. I want to have day events after exams in the summer where it's more relaxing, where you can get to know other people without being kind of off your head. So I think really involving everyone in college events is so crucial, and that's where we come together as a college. So I think definitely work on kind of having different events like bake-off, competitions still, where everyone can get involved and excited, but also ones that aren't completely focused on drinking. However, I do understand that a lot of the people in Hatfield do like a drink and do like socials. I'd kind of want to get the sports teams involved, doing different socials which would appeal to more people. So going down, supporting the Floodlit Cup, going down, supporting the rugby. Ones aren't particularly associated with drinking, but will bring the drinking Hatfielders together and the non-drinking Hatfielders together in a positive community which supports Hatfield. So.
I think we can't be naive and look at it as if people don't come to university and want to drink, but I am so determined to create events that aren't centred around drinking. One thing this year, from working so closely with the college officers, I've really learnt their concerns about why events need to have alcohol limitations and the dangers surrounding it. And this year's fashion show, we've basically cut the drinking by over half, and we've still managed to sell out completely by aiming it as a it's not an event where everyone's going to come down and get really, really drunk. It's an event where people are going to come, they're going to have fun, socialise with their friends, and it's not going to be centred around, oh, let's get really drunk and behave really stupidly. I also think that other events, like the idea I had for the Rounders games, things like that, they're completely separate, and I think they would involve other people in a big way.
I would echo the ideas of Annie and Sophie because alcohol is a big part of student life, but it doesn't have to be a big part of social events. So especially doing day events, as they've mentioned, would kind of bring the idea of alcohol not to it's not the forefront of the event itself, but kind of just take a back seat. I also think that kind of being a social sec, you have to know your audience, so you need to kind of talk to everyone and just understand a bit more why they're not attending events. Is it the price? We need to try and put on cheaper events, or maybe even free events like movie nights or something. Really just lead up to exams, a bit stressed, and need to do something else. Just find out why people aren't coming to events, and then see if we can change that.
I think mainly for those who don't want to go to events that maybe involve being really rowdy, involving drink, you need to replace drink with something like enthusiasm. So the only way in which you can do that is to implement things like themes, things like having loads of fun. I remember week after freshers watching Lizzie McGuire movie, having a great time in my PJs, watching, with pizza and ice cream and all the rest of it. And that's enjoyable because it's enthusiastic. Having that in the bar would be great fun, with a big group of people all being enthusiastic around the same thing without having drink involved and being rowdy.
I wouldn't make them come to my events. I think people are different. People want different things. I think we need to get out this mentality of, as social secretary, you organise these block events. And these events are these big events and people turn up to them. I think social secretary is you are representing what people want to do. And which is why I think if something's not working, just dump it and change it for something which is. So if a group of people who don't normally go to big events like the fashion show or whatever, want to organise a barbecue down at some pool, they should be able to go to their social secretary and say, look, can we have a bit of money to do this? Can we do this and that? Can we have these resources? Can you speak to Daryl for me and see if we can get some cheap food? I think that's what the social secretary is for. It's organising events, even if they're not these big events, they're just, or they're their own events. I think they're just the liaison point for people to just do what they want to do and enjoy themselves. So I wouldn't ever try and force someone to come to an event. I think if people want to, you're at university, people do vastly different things. It's all about trying to get people to, organise themselves or bring to you stuff to do, and then you can include them rather than try and force them into something.
Thank you. Do we have any further questions from the floor? Yes, Hannah?
I was just wondering, do you think that there is realistically scope to make use of the facilities that we've got in the DSUs, or all of the space, all of the rooms, or do you think it's something that's going to undermine our collegiality that we've got at the moment?
I think whilst the DSU is a great space over there, I think as far as events for Hatfield, it would be a bit of a wasted space. Part of our big thing is the Hatfield spirit. It's what people apply to this college for. I myself applied when I heard about all the fantastic events that happen here, and I think the fact they happen in college, people come together as a college, to college, is one of the most important things. I think the issue of space, yes, we do have events that sell out and we can't fit everybody in, but we also have Lion in Winter, we have Hatfield Day, we have Full Moon Party, which technically could have as many people as we wanted in college as college members. I don't think space is such a necessary an issue that would mean we have to go elsewhere, as it would be a hindrance to our wonderful Hatfield spirit.
Apart from Chads, we are the closest college to the DSE, and especially if you live with PG. But I just think that we have such great space here. We have the bar, we have the dining hall. There have been loads of, the pantomime was hosted here, the drama show the other week, Laurent, was hosted here, and there was plenty of space. There's the assembly room just across the road if people want to use other things, but the DSU isn't as central for Durham as a university because of the collegiate system. It could be used if, say, we wanted to host a huge event, but we do have, I think, enough space in college to host events.
I do think that the absolutely amazing facilities we have here do need to be utilised. We've got this amazing dining hall, we've got a great bar, which is a huge space compared to other bars, which couldn't necessarily have the events that we have. However, Daniel, if you want events at the student union, then come and talk to me. The only thing that I'm ever going to do as your social sec is listen to you. If you think that there's a particular event that would work there, you think there's a particular room, you think there's a particular type of person who would like it over there, then that's great. The only thing I would say generally is that Hatfield Spirit should be based in Hatfield, and that for things like livers out who are living over in the viaduct, walking that little bit extra further might put them off.
Yeah, I mean, the space here is amazing. I think the only time I'd consider using the DSU is when there's not enough space here, or they've got facilities over there which I find useful. When I was doing Hatfield sessions, I kind of had a bit of a problem with it. Well, not the I dig in the problem with them, because they were charging me quite, I thought, an uncompetitive rate, considering they're supposed to be our union representing us and helping us out. And so what I'd look potentially with the DSU rep would be to go, look, right, this is not financially or in any way beneficial for me to go over there and do my event because you're still charging me an uncompetitive rate. And so I'd work with the DSU to see if we can get any kind of deals going on there, or getting sort of the concerns voiced. And also, I mean, to put it bluntly, it's an uncool building. Like, who wants to go there for an event? Let's be realistic here. I mean, if you do it there, it doesn't send like it's not really a Hatfield event. A Hatfield event's kind of on campus, I suppose. So that would be the problem I'd have there. However, if it was really, there was something about the DSU, they put on some certain facilities, they made it really cheap, they did these amazing things, and yeah, of course, why not? If it works, but I wouldn't just force to do it just for the sake of using it.
I agree with all these guys. Hatfield does have really great space, and being in Hatfield really promotes the Hatfield spirit, which I'm all about. However, I do think the DSU does have some great facilities, especially when it came to revision. It was so nice to have that lovely cafe where you can go lay on beanbags with your friends, chill out. I think having Hatfield events in the day, maybe over exam period, kind of stress less, not socials, kind of gatherings of Hatfielders where they can talk about the exams, talk about where they're at. I think using the DSU for events like that would be so great, because it really is meant to be the heart of the university. I know the DSU used to run really great social events in the bar, which for some reason have stopped. I mean, I don't know why. I'd love to talk to the DSU about why these socials stopped. Apparently they had a really great night on a Friday, I think it was, Sally knows. So I really think, working with the DSU, we could try and redo it. The DSU's Durham Students' Union is doing itself up. Why can't we go with it? I mean, if you guys have ideas of how you want to use it, I'd be more than happy to hear them. I agree that big events like Lion and Winter, Hatfield Day should remain in college, but smaller events, why not think about the DSU?
So, do you have any further questions from
I know relations with the college officers can be a bit tricky. What would you do to ease these relationships and make sure that the voice of JCR is heard?
I think communication is definitely key, keeping in constant contact if on the lead up to events, just to make sure that everything you're doing is in line, and just kind of getting to know them, trying to get to know them at least on a one-on-one basis during like the meetings, just kind of put yourself out there a little bit as a personality instead of just being on the exec. Makes it just easier to get to know people and then have a better working relationship as well.
The best way I found out to negotiate with the college officers is just literally to talk to them constantly. Always make meetings with them, always act like you're really keen, really interested, which I am, and well, sometimes. And I would just really like to make sure that their needs are met, because the only reason why they are so strict as they are, although it can be a pain, they are only trying to protect us in these events. The only way in which I would try and ease that is to make sure that you tell me how you want to be reflected and how you want me to represent you to them. If you have issues with things that are going on, and you think something's too strict or not strict enough even, then I will reflect that to them.
I don't really think there's actually that much of a problem with the college officers. I mean, when I did sessions, it was sort of, you came across problems, but everything could be solved with, like, I don't know, just chatting to them, working something out. Like, at the end of the day, they're just people, and they're following their interpretation of a guideline or a rule, or what they were told by someone who now doesn't realise what they've said. And that's normally how it happens. So in my case, it was putting up advertising about a beer festival when they thought it was encouraging drinking. And all it takes normally is just a bit of a chat and just to work something out. So as I said, communication is key. I don't see why the college officers are sort of given the stick of saying they are a problem. I don't think they really are. It's just a case of compromise, and normally you don't actually have to give that much in order to make them happy. So yeah, just chat away. And from my experience, they're all really nice guys or girls. Ladies and gentlemen, they're sound people. So yeah, just chat and work something out.
As I mentioned earlier, I've already got a little bit of history with the college officers. We're in a good working relationship. I agree they can be a real pain. However, a lot of the time I think it's because we view our college as students. They view their college as like they've just got a completely different view to we have.
But all it does take is a bit of talking and explaining. Like, I had to explain what a vodka luge was to Anthony Bash, and he's okayed it. So, I mean, they're not too hard. Like, you really just have to sit there and talk to them. I think negotiating with them is going to be part of the role. They're not going to be happy with everything that we want to do. But if you guys want to do something, I will fight for it, and I'll present it in a way to the college officers that they know I'm only trying to do the best what's for their college and our college.
I think Michelle Crawford, the bursar, is probably my most contacted on my email list. I'm in constant contact with the college officers already, dealing with senior ents, fashion show, whatever. And I've learned that having a close relationship with them is so important. It's so vital, because at the end of the day, whilst we as a JCR can take forward ideas for events that we want to do, they can just say no, because it's them at the end of the day that run the show. So I think maintaining that close working relationship is so vital, and it's something I would want to continue to do. I'd just stay in constant contact with them, having plenty of meetings, and making sure that anything, before I have a meeting with them, I give all the JCR an opportunity to put their views forward to me in advance of me going to that meeting, so that I can take them forward.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, or can we move forward with the speeches? Yes. Great. Can we move with...
The only thing that I would really like to mention is that if you invest your faith and your support and your vote in me, that I will do everything I can to represent you as best I can in these social events. That goes to the biggest to the smallest. It doesn't matter what you think is a great idea, a strange idea, whatever. I want you guys to have your personalities and your opinions reflected in the events in college. That's the most important thing to me. Secondly, I'd just like to mention, which I don't think has been brought up, is that although I'm a first year, I do have a great experience of working with events. I'm so passionate about making sure that next year's social calendar is full of really great events that you guys will absolutely be desperate to go to.
I think everyone on the stage at the moment is absolutely fantastic social sex. I think everyone has had the experience and knows the college officers and everything like that. So really, it comes down to down to a choice of sort of what you want to see and what they've said. So what I've said is that, as I did with sessions, I will take something and I'll try and make it as best for the student body, whether that be halving the ticket price to get more people to come along, or getting rid of something to bring something new in, which is going to be more exciting and different. And I think that kind of innovation is what you need to do, because with this college, which is so traditional, particularly with its social things like these certain events, which always happen and always done in a certain way, you need to, I think you sometimes need a fresh pair of eyes to change things. And with the money saved, you can then use things as a social sector should do. Give it to people, or help people who want to start up an event. Maybe a fresher who's just started and is really ambitious but didn't make ends rep, for example. So yeah, I think any of us would be fantastic social sectors. It's just a question of sort of who you want to see and what their vision is and whether you like it or not.
I just wanted to add a few brief things, so some ideas I've got. I'd really love to produce a social calendar which every student will get at the beginning of the year that can work not only for socials but also for planning your work, other events like that, just so that you have everything concise. I really want to get the livers out more involved in college. I feel like losing touch of the livers out is a really big problem for the social sec. They need to get the livers out back into college, whether that be through incentives or whatever. I really want to work with the livers out rep, whoever that would be, to make sure that I can make this happen. And just plugging myself a little bit shamelessly, I am extremely organised. I have the most Hatfield spirit I think you could probably see in a person. I mean, you should just see my homemade banners. I really would love you to vote for me for social sec. I would do anything in my power to put what you guys want across and make it an actual reality. Thank you.
I really wish I had more than 2 minutes to speak, but firstly, I think all of us can admit that we've got a big pair of shoes to fill with what Azzy's done this year. She's completely revolutionised events. From working on the ENTS team for 2 years, I've seen the change, but for me, I want to use it as a stepping stone to take things on even further. I feel like what I've done so far has been stepping stones to that role. Also, a bit about me. I know a lot of people see me as a bit of the jokey face around college, whatever. But I just want to make it clear to everyone that I am so passionate about this. I want it more than anything. I'm so committed to this. I'm so reliable with this. I don't think I've ever missed a meeting to do with events that I haven't had a legitimate excuse not to be there for. And I want it more than anything. I'm aiming to do it as a career in my future life. So please vote for me.
The Hatfield spirit is notorious around Durham, so there are definitely big shoes to fill, as Annie said. Just kind of getting everyone involved would be my main aim, just trying to get to know the community, get to know the events that you guys want to be put on. It'd just be really important. And if elected, I'd definitely be committed to the role. Just kind of, as social secretary, have a big responsibility to the Hatfield community.